Sunshine, and this is the Playground Experience. All right, I have my lovely co-host here, Kathy D, and the lovely April Williams. Woo! All right, tonight's topic is about communication. You know, when you're with the twin flames, we have a different way of communicating with each other. We can't just communicate like we do with the regular Joe or the average Joe out there, the guy who's at Starbucks. We have to use a different time type of way of communicating with our beloveds. So I'm gonna let Kathy D go ahead and just kind of explain, because this is something, a topic that she had brought up near and dear to her heart, and she said we need to really talk about it's a special way or a different way we need to communicate with our beloveds. All right, Kathy D, take it away.
Well, when we think about communicating, we still think about the old paradigm on how to communicate. We have to understand that we now are having all of these other wonderful abilities that, especially if you have been in contact with your twin, you can send things telepathically. So jokingly, I said, wouldn't it be great not to have to call them and tell them to bring milk home when you're back in Union? You can just send them the thought. But we have to think about that, and we need to practice that communication with our soul family before we get into, because we know that we still have lessons to learn with the DM. This is going to be completely and totally new. They're not coming back as the same person, and we know we're not the same person we were. So if you've been in separation, you know that that's some of it. And we need to work on this communication with our soul family kind of practice. And one of the main things that I see is you have to understand that, like, we pick up things on each other. You know, we'll say, are you feeling, oh, that, I kind of got this for you, and what's going on? And it's not being nosy. It's being, our senses are picking up on the people we care about, our soul family, that those of us that are connected. And so, unlike when Aunt Ethel tells you, oh, have you put on weight? She's kind of being a little nosy. But when we say, are you all right? Are you feeling okay? Some of those can even be ascension symptoms. We know that there's the whole thing when we're about to give birth to a new idea, and we kind of bloat, and we get, we look like and feel like we're pregnant, and all of that kind of craziness. So we have to learn to understand and take these things that people say in. I'm not saying be rude, but I'm saying you have to be understanding to when somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about you. Know that they're really thinking about you. They're not fishing for information. You have been on their mind, that there is something that is coming across, and they're just kind of feeling you out before they say anything. So we need to learn to be open and be receptive. And we're going back to that whole receptive and vulnerable thing that we kind of started when we started the playground, about being vulnerable, being open. We've got to be open to that communication and not take offense at it. We have to understand where they're coming from, and we have to understand that they mean well by it. And that this is unlike any communication we've had with just the normal 3D. And so I think those are some of the things we have to maybe not be so sensitive to just understand. And I guess that's where I got it from this morning. Let it flow and let it go, and just be, thank them and be open to it. And I think that's we've got to get to that point, because a lot of us are getting to, those of us that are not newbies on this adventure, we are getting down to the bottom of the bottom. And communication is the main thing. We all want it. We know people that have got it. And why haven't we? Sometimes it's the way we communicate. It's the walls we put up. It's the way we say things that even on the 5D, the way we say things can be a little, to them. And we have to keep that in mind, that, feelings are feelings, no matter which level you're on. And we have to be mindful of that. So I think that's something we all need to really work on and practice. And not that we're doing bad at it. It's just that it's something so new. It's like riding a bike without, you ride your bike with training wheels. Okay. You got your training wheels, and our soul families are training wheels. And as we get really comfortable with it and we know we can communicate and those training wheels come off, then we're riding our bike, alone in union, just us and the bike. And that's when we communicate with the DM. So that was my take on it. That's kind of what I had gotten the other day about it, that our new soul and our new family dynamic doesn't just affect our families, but it affects our soul family and how we communicate with them, because a lot of people do have some rocky relationships in their family. And when we're talking soul family, there's not room for that. There really isn't. There's not room for ego, and there's not room for those rocky moments. Yeah, things, sometimes can get misjudged, but it's not like, you're not going to talk to a soul sister for years because, she said something, wrong to you, like some people would to a regular sister.
Well, that was dense. Well, thank you for coming to the playground. I'm just kidding. We just cut it up into little slices. It is a lot. Communication is a lot. It's interesting to kind of get thrown into this new earth so quickly, but when you're standing in power, it's easy. It's an easier transition. When you're standing in your peace and your grace and your like flow, it's a lot easier to have the understanding that what you're experiencing is not what they talk about in terms of traditional communication. It's so much more. And we are all awakening or reawakening our senses into this. It's all kinds of extra world that's actually real, that's there, that's happening to all of us. And we're getting to the point where a majority of us, can no longer tolerate the level of distraction being thrown at us, that it's actually hyper focusing us to create a stronger foundation for this new world, this new paradigm, this new way of being. So I was having this, we talk to God, right? We talk to spirit, we talk to our higher self, we allow ourselves to have that space to let our ancestors bring messages, different things, right? As far as I understand, these gifted ladies and myself and a lot of everybody is getting in on different levels these days, right?
Right.
The densest of the dense. Anyway, the densest of the dense is talking about there's some stuff going on. There's some layers to this, and that lets you know that we're here. We're anchored in. So as we do our communication with ourselves, first and foremost, in our higher self or our spirit or God or how we want to funnel it in, that's going to be how we flow in this plane, right? Because even everybody's starting to receive messages. So even that butterfly, you going outside, you doing this stretch, you just need to stretch for some reason. You go out and you see a butterfly, or the sun comes out at you, or even the rain trickles on you. Everything is now sending us messages and communication. And maybe it's like overload. Like I watched something where they had something called synesthesia, right? Where you like see numbers or you like taste math or letters or level of that to it. But there's also communicating the body, communicating with the body. Do I need water now? Do I need to stretch now? Do I need to because this new plane is some weird initial takeoff navigation stuff, right? Because we're all dealing with the pressures of COVID everywhere, right? And I'm the numbers are coming back up. Everyone's going through. But how do we communicate? Because we're no longer really close to each other and hearing. Have you ever tried hearing somebody with a mask? It's really not that easy. Yeah. So we have these small groups that our vibration is getting stronger. The way we're connecting is getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And like you can now look at someone and tell so much more than than you could, and there's no denying it because now we're on this alert, we're on the sensory connection level, and so that is awakening even the densest of the dense, right? So you're thinking sometimes people talk smack, right? I've been hearing it through the grapevine. Everybody's talking, well, the TN can hear this, or this and that, and I'm this, and blah blah blah. Anyway, um, you don't have an excuse to blame externally anymore because even the densest of the dense is getting all the information. So now you get to focus in on what the actual information is, and that's how we start to move into the next level, and the receiving of the downloads and the upgrades and knowing in our hearts and in our gut that we are talking and communicating with our other, with ourselves, other with our higher self, and know and start differentiating, right? Because sometimes people are communicating with things that are also like traumatic that need to be processed and released, and
Mm-hmm.
sources for that, like our playground experience. And I know Jupiter 1111. She's got a lot. Anyway, it's not a shameless plug. It's totally. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have. I. There's no reason for shame if we're offering you at the highest level of you, or at least unveiling and shedding that to you, because
Mm-hmm.
you empowered enough to step
True.
forward in this journey. You become empowered to have the conversation, the communication, the language about what you're experiencing, so others know that they're not alone. And I bet you that there are people that will surprise you coming out and talking about what it is that they're really truly experiencing, because it's now past auric level. We're all feeling that crunch where we're now everything's starting to kind of get really activated, and sometimes that comes in the form of misguided communication, or a trigger that sends you off an emotional tangent, pain in the body, tension, holding your breath, different things like that, especially since we're all rarely moving. A lot of us need to get moving, get our bodies moving, we are active. That's a form of communication. What is your body telling you? I know a lot of you have been like, I need to eat better. I need to go and stretch or something. I need to, like, why not now? Why not now? And there is, the whole, everyone has a shield up now when they go out, because now they think that that connection has become dangerous, but it isn't dangerous. It's the thing that heals us and keeps us together and keeps us going, is our family and the uh, this 5D integration of the new template, right? So even speaking with our ancestors and taking care of our and cherishing the stories that we get passed down to us is a huge thing. Um, Especially now since we have a possibility of, we've always been using cultures and languages and different things like that, but just preserving that richness of the art that we are as humans, I think will give us a better, because with all this, we've got to start thinking like a hive a little bit, the hive survives, the hive gets it done. Yeah, we need some honey, baby.
Nothing wrong with getting a little sweetness, a little honey every now and then. But that's what I was thinking too while you were talking about it. It's like really with this time with the COVID happening, how it has really changed the way we even communicate, like you said, with the mask as well, and how really the universe has helped to also shut things down to help us to really get in tune with ourselves, because a lot of us weren't able to really know ourselves and really know how to voice our opinion and really do that, because we were so much distracted about what other people's needs at the job, the office, interacting with other people in the community. And that made a big difference as far as us not really taking time to really get to know what does our voice sound like. I'm always thinking about how to bounce off of my persona that I'm doing with other people, but I've never gotten an understanding of who I am. So really with this time of this COVID thing, it not only helps you to be able to know how to communicate with yourself, but then also with your family that's around you too. Learning a new way of how you have to communicate with, I didn't even know with my mom even around, and how to interact with that more properly before. Now I can read her body language a little bit better and say, oh, now I understand what that was about. Before I'm so busy, I was like, I ain't got time to investigate that. I'm off and going. I got to do this, that. But that's also another way which is helping us to even know our immediate circle, and then you can span it out as far as also like what you're saying, interacting with others. I like how you say about the statement that you're not being able to, with the mask on, you got to learn other ways to kind of communicate. Their eyes, too, as well, tells the story. You can tell if they're happy. You like, okay, I can't tell if I'm smiling. I forget it's out of a habit. I smile behind the mask. But can they see that I'm actually smiling too at them, or are they like, what the hell? So, you kind of, now you're looking at the eyes like, okay, they smile back at me too. So that's another way of how you're being able to communicate in the world, the 3D world. But, we had talked about also when we talk about especially like Mars versus Venus, that communication right there, even if on the 3D level, not even taking it to the divine masculine level, we have two different ways of really talking. And I know April had brought that up about even in the sunshine circle, how with the divine masculine, it's shortened to the point, 10 sentences, that's it. And divine feminist can write a dissertation in the text about why you hurt me, how this is linked on for why I'm acting the way today. And this is my basis. And upon study says, this is why I have right reaction to the way I reacted to you. And this is why my friend said I'm right. And it's like, okay, something got lost in translation between the 10 sentences that the DM put out there and your dissertation of a text that you have sent back to the DM. It's like, what is it as far as us? It's like, how can we have that middle ground as far as even communicating with not even just the DM, the masculine, but then also talking to our counterparts too as well. I know they had like the 5 languages of love languages as well. They were talking about that, knowing that those
To
different
read
types
a
of
nice
things.
way.
Huh? You reading that? Yeah,
I
and
like
that's
that a lot.
yeah, and that is a very good start. The understanding that it doesn't have to be this verbally, but it's also about in your expression as well. That's another communication. But what anybody else, like you say, you're reading that? I have read that once upon a time. I
Oh, I
see.
didn't read it. They have an online quiz you can take, and you can have your partner take it, and you find out, like, it's a free resource that anyone can get to.
Yeah. You could take that. I remember I asked a DM, but that was at the beginning. He wasn't very open to trying things. I could probably throw it in there now, but then it was like, what the heck? I thought, okay, you ain't ready for it. I got that. That I got understood that communication. But but yeah, it is a very nice online uh thing that you can take, and it can tabulate what is yours, so you know how best is for you to be able to communicating. What are the 5? I know I have it on my phone. I used to. I definitely don't remember.
Uh,
The
was
5.
languages, words of affirmation,
D.
gifts, time.
Yeah. Oh, I see why you can't, because you can't see me. I'm sorry. I see why you don't want to open. As well. Bye. I don't need to know how long I've been on this phone.
Okay, you ready? Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch.
Yeah. And that makes a real big difference as far as like when you're even talking. I thought I had it. I do have it on there. I just couldn't find it. That makes a big difference as far as how you even communicating as far as love too. That's another way of communicating also. I think, what did I take the test? I know I was a person that was time and was it words? I had to see it. But you know what? That'd be interesting to take it again, because I'm sure probably maybe over time you have evolved, you might have changed. You might say that was me back then. You had to bring that
Yeah,
stuff, but that might not be. And I
I
took
think,
that a while ago.
and like how person receives it too. Like you may receive it one way and give it another way. Like there's a whole loving dance with that. Um,
Right.
and then to put it out to the other person that this is how I receive the love. So even though they're giving you the way they want to receive it, they do better if they give it the way you want to receive it. And then, you know what I'm saying? You give what they, in order to fully understand, because that's their natural tendencies. Not
Mhm.
saying that it's the end all be all of all communication of loving language, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. It's nice to know. It made me feel good because then I knew how to ask for what I wanted.
I
Right?
think it'd be interesting to see people that had taken the test maybe before ascension and
Right.
got like the ones like the gifts,
Mhm.
and now after ascension, if that is if the gift quality changed.
Well, what I'm thinking is maybe we should like go 5D with all the love languages. Like, the words of affirmation in 5D communication, the gift giving in 5D, the physical touch in 5D, which is like an integration, which you can do like a twin mirroring kind of thing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
I'm like writing it down.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, it's recording.
Yeah, write that down.
Lionsgate. Wink, wink.
Yeah, that would be a nice right to say about communication and take it on the 50 level as well. Say why? Because I can hear somebody say, I ain't in communication with my DM. So I'm supposed to do that.
Yes, you are. If you're fine enough along, you are.
I'm supposed to do that. Oh yeah, I don't know how to do
I think
that.
that's
So,
5 in sign language.
what you say?
5D in the sign language.
Oh, 5D in the sign
Yeah, I
language.
don't think that this is the. I was wondering if this is the 5 because they have some interesting like 1, 2, 3. Nope, I can't do it. I shouldn't. This is not. Anyway, communication. I'm going to communicate and say, you know what? I'd rather just save the sign language for someone who's more equipped. I'll be better next. I'll be better at studying it. I'll know by the sandbox how to do 1 through 10 in sign language because 10 is like this. And
Okay.
the baby just woke up. Can you just keep talking, keep communicating?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, so
10 loves his 5D self.
right. So again, like the person said, how do you do that? I'm not in communication with my DM. So how do you do that? I want to communicate, like you said, in the 50. So now, well, how does that go about?
Well, it depends on where they are. If they are, you can do certain meditations. There's lots of good ones that are online about the Rainbow Bridge. You can call them out and onto, a specific location. You can do the one like I did when we did that one on Sunday with the portal opening and going
Okay.
down the stairs and sitting in the room, and you can call them in that way, or you'll get to the point where you just feel them, you just know they're there, and that's a major breakthrough in communication, because then the powers that be, your angels, everybody starts celebrating, because when you admit you know because you just know,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to get all kinds of messages, and you're going to get all and coming from all kinds of places, and it's wonderful to just know that you know that you know, and being open with that. So it depends on where you are in your journey, and I think one of the ways to get to that, that you know that you know, is to release.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're holding on to it really really tight and
Mm-hmm.
it's still there, um, you don't know that you know that you know, because you're so panicked holding on to it. But you have to let it go and just know. Just know. And when you've gotten to that point, and I've heard a lot of readers lately talking about that, back again about, you think you released but you didn't release, so you've got to release. You've got to get to that point of saying, I know we're going to be together, and if it's not right now, that's great. As much as I would love to have him in my life, I know that he has stuff he's got to get done, I got stuff I got to do, and it's good, and be good with it. Another way to look at the communication is when you do the love language stuff, if we're looking at that, and like on the 5D, talk to your inner child like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's words of affirmation, that's what you need to give your inner child. if it's time, if it's, the moments, then go play. That's what they need. That's what they want. There you go. Everybody is asked over to, how do I reach my inner child? I don't know what they need. I don't do the love languages and talk to yourself like that. That's the quickest and easiest way. And you're there, because that's going to start tapping into some of that. Now, I'm not saying that they don't also need words of affirmation to know they're safe and all of that, but it's going to open up communication. So you're not started. There was a whole lot of, my inner child sat with her arms crossed and just looked at me. You're like, yeah, you're here. Why? Yeah. And, and that you had to find the right meditation, and you had to find, there was going to be something that connected, but really it's in there. It's in you. You know the answer. You just have to figure out the question to formulate to find the answer.
Right.
Because it's not really the answer you're looking for. It's the question you're looking for.
I like that inner child thing of doing that. And you can also do that if you think that your significant other also has some healing that he needs to do too. And you can do the inner child with you and them as that, but you have to gain security and trust with your own inner child. And then you have to also let the DM know, child, that you're going to do that as well. But you can practice that too as well. And you can elevate it to another level too. So I like that in doing that exercise. It was something else, and I was trying to remember what you were talking about.
I like the idea. To piggyback on that, you also gave us this gift of telling us that you talk with your students on the 5D level too. So once you mastered talking to like your own higher self, and then a few of your close, then you can start to work with other people, and it's in the highest righteous way.
Right.
We have seen some interesting communications come through other people, right? At us as well. So just being aware of that, because people, I've seen it. I don't know if you guys have seen it recently, but people can get possessed, and so this is also part of that energetic world. And you need to be aware of protection. You need to be aware of being in your sound body and working with righteousness, right? Because it really is a ripple effect, and we're inside of a container. We're not like completely free, so like it does ripple back, and sometimes it can be very intense. And so, just always work with good intentions.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things is too, whenever you call someone in, whether it's your DM, whether it's, in our case is a student, or maybe it's just that one grumpy bank teller, or whoever you have to deal with, or, always call them in, but let them know that their karma is theirs and your karma is yours, and you're not sharing that, and that you're coming in without any kind of, just happened. That was crazy. You're coming in with good intentions, that you don't want to manipulate or push their free will in any way, shape, or form. That you're coming in for the highest good. And I think that was a wonderful thing I learned from April.
To do that, and that's gonna down it all. Not doing that.
Yes, I am here.
And but I think that's it was a great thing I learned from you. And we first started the playground was about keeping, karma to karma. And I did that with my students, because I didn't do it at first when I would, kind of call them in. And boy, if you're open, and especially if you're an empath, which I think most of us are on this adventure, you get, just hit with it.
Yes, yes. And that's part of understanding that you're communicating on all levels as well, whether you are actively conscious of it or not. And so it helps you be more intentional about your creation. A lot of people, they have this flow where they kind of float in and out of being aware. And it's in those moments where they're kind of having their emotional outbursts or having their whole thing, but they're saying it in a negative fashion that you can actually hear them manifesting negativity. It's very interesting. So you're now transitioning that since you have awareness of it. So you can make people aware. You communicate with someone, hey, you're creating right now, and what you look for, you find. And that's the best way we can help people to be accountable for their own actions and reactions, but then also have someone that can help us be accountable as well.
Well, and also as we get to this, go ahead. You would love what?
I was hoping that I was perfect about it, I'm constantly manifesting positively. But it's like that moment, that they make a diamond. I call that when all the pressure's on you. When your butt starts puckering up because it's cold. Just kidding. But you're making a diamond. You're getting pressurized by the universe. There's all kinds of wacky things that happen. Right, Bertina?
Yeah. Like I've been doing, I don't know what I'm doing in this room, but it's something. The lights just went out. Well, we got storms here supposedly in Chicago. So I don't know what happened with that. So it looks like I'm saying, "Ooh, oh boy."
You look really cute, actually. It's a very endearing face that you're frozen on.
Oh no, she's unfrozen now, so we're good.
Yeah.
Wait, she's not unfrozen to me.
Oh, she's to me.
Okay, well at least there's okay. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I'm frozen. I'm unfrozen over here. I don't know what is going on, and I don't have that much power thing. So this might be going to 45 today because I'm down to 39% on my.
Right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a shorty one.
Oh, there you are. I got you.
Yeah, so it's gonna
You
have
look like a shorty. You look like a shorty one.
yeah, shorty. I'm telling you, seeing somebody like waving to you back there. That's all right. But anyway, on that one. So yeah, about the communication. So, was it something else? I was trying to see that I wanted to be. We covered about understanding also when we're talking about communication. Remember that we talk about telepathy. We're not just talking about doing it through the mind. It's through the heart now.
Yes.
Because we used to do it through the mind, like really Jedi mind trick, like Kathy D said. But when you're doing it, it's more so to the heart. You communicating with your other divine counterpart as well, and you can feel that. And they also communicate with you through music. So don't get like, why this song come out of the blue? What this symbolize? That's another way in which your divine counterpart also communicates with you as well. It uses song to be able to do that.
They use road signs.
Road
They
signs,
use other people, license plates. Yes, that's mine. Sometimes they'll even use the karmic, but
oh Lord.
Well, sometimes the karmic even uses the pipeline too. Yeah.
yes, and that's the other thing. That's a great point that we need to remind everybody is. Not only can you call them in, they can call you in.
Right.
And so you have to be mindful when these things hit you, like, I really need to do this. I need to take care of this, or I hadn't seen that situation that way. Understand that a lot of times that is your, divine coming in and pointing stuff out, or the divine pointing stuff out, because once you get that knowing of, I know what I know, then, and all these signs and things come in, that opens you up to so many of those. And Bertina made a great point on the fact that it's not coming from our heads. I mean, yes, we'll still have things with our third eye and stuff, but it's coming from our hearts. And when you're at that place and you know it, you feel it. And there are times that it feels like, this whoosh of air comes in and they're there. Or you'll feel arms around you.
Right.
Or because I'm so short and mine thinks he's funny, I get a pat on the head. Especially if I'm being mad or irrational about something, I get a little pat on my head, like, all right.
Get out of here.
That's
yes.
I can't tell if that was a good purr or
no,
bad.
I was going to bite him if he does it again. But
all I can say is down, kitty, down.
Oh, well, maybe that's what I be feeling, because sometimes I feel somebody pull my hair like that.
that's yeah, you're feeling all of that. And they're because as we start with this, and I know in my case, one of the first things I realized was being able to feel their body
Yeah.
up next to mine,
Okay.
sitting or anything like that. And that was even before separation. We were able to do that.
Okay.
And kind of separation because, you just kind of, everything is, all topsy turvy. But then it's come back. And as I've worked more and more on it, it's come back more and more. And now it's, to the point that I'll sit down and it's almost like a little kid and an imaginary friend. You know how they'll say, don't sit on little Johnny, that he was sitting there. But there are times that you'll, sit down or walk in somewhere and they're there. And, or following behind you and things like that. Things will happen. And not just with the DM, with, ancestors and family that have passed on too. I know, right now I'm, packing at my dad's house and all that stuff. And I don't know, I said something the other day about an ugly painting. I don't know why anybody kept it. And it then fell off the shelf at my toe. And when it fell, it slid. And I saw that my mother had painted it. And I was like, okay, Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk bad about your painting. So it's not just. And, so never be afraid of it. If you're not sure who it is, say, ask, who is this? Just like if they call you on the phone and they start talking, you don't recognize the voice. I'm sorry, but who is this?
Definitely stepping into that awareness, stepping into that agreement, and just flowing with the ride of it, because there's so much information that's coming in that's new to you that you can kind of get scared sometimes unnecessarily, or can also get lost in an inappropriate moment, or almost inappropriate. I feel like they get you at almost inappropriate so that you force yourself to make boundaries. Because if you don't do the proper boundaries, like for yourself and spirit, like it can sometimes feel like you get close to being harmed. Because sometimes spirit can take you for a ride as part of your adventure. You can taper that ride. You make agreements with spirit, and they're happy to oblige because they know that they want you to work. God wants you to work for this flow, this plan, this beautiful art form that is you, your life, your existence, your flow, everything. You are important. Everything that comes out of you is important, and that's why we're having a show about communication. It's also about how you talk to yourself.
Yes, and that's not only talk to your inner child with that love language, but talk to yourself. Do the mirror work. Talk to yourself with that. If it's spending time, if it's do those things for yourself. You should be your own ultimate partner. And in the end, you should be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, would I date me? Would I marry me? Would I want to spend the rest of my life with me? And if you don't answer a resounding yes, then you know what you need to work on. Are you okay over there in the dark?
Yeah, I had to go talk to Mom and see how she was doing. I heard
okay.
Down upstairs. She says it's only on our side of the street. Everybody else got lights on the other side, but we are dark.
Well, whatever you thought of must have been good.
Spirit got jokes today.
Jokes today. Yeah, what did Dad
So, the metaphor for life, right? Communication. Why have the lights been turned out in your neighborhood?
Around my side. What that
Separation.
mean? What that be?
No, it's a metaphor for our lives. How can we get what's going on with the block?
What's
It
going on with the block?
might be some of that infrastructure we don't know. Hopefully everything is good and safe. How do we feel about it? We'll be on and in. But right now, just gonna enjoy this space. And sometimes when I get into that communication with self, I go into that deep, dark matter womb space that is the inside, and allow for the light to be created. Like I was watching you. So I'm so glad that we have technology. I was watching you alchemically light your, like the flash when you're lighting your candles, and all
Yeah,
of a sudden,
yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
it's so romantic over there. That's all I could see was turning the lights
Yeah,
down. I'm like,
I
It,
needed him to show up in 50. That'd be straight.
with a generator.
With a generator, that would be nice.
so hot. They put the
Yeah.
power out.
Yeah, they put the power out. It's too much. We too hot to handle over here.
You got a power surge going on. Whatever
Yeah,
you were trying to remember must have been good, and somebody didn't want you to say it. They were gonna.
that's what it seems like.
It did.
Something that didn't want.
Oh well, I'm glad. I'm stoked about the sandbox because they be pressuring. So very interesting. What I'm finding with communication right now, bluntly, it's aggravating. It's a little agitating. It's real iris. They say over here, iris, like it's
Okay.
irritating. Um, because I know exactly how I am being distracted and letting myself get distracted in the process of getting back in purpose and point.
Mhm.
Okay.
So a lot of the communication that I'm witnessing is wounding, is scuffs from childhood that haven't been fully mended.
Yeah.
So perhaps this meditation today will go into us just opening ourselves to our inner child and then picturing that for our counterparts as well. Anyone in your life that needs to know, you can do that. Okay? But start with yourself. And you can watch this as many times as you want. All right. So I'll take a deep breath and we're going to set up our protection bubble. So take 3 deep breaths with me. One, two, breath. Feel your body, feel the energy and space around your body. Come into body. And around you, create a bubble or acknowledge the bubble that's around you. Let that bubble be from the inside out, silver to gold, to rose gold, to violet, and then to another thin, bright layer of white light to gold. Allow this and that white light to seal you in light and love and protection given by God, by the universe, by your divine right of being here. This is your space, your safety. Keep breathing. Allow yourself to go inward. Allow yourself to keep folding inward and inward. You can look up towards your third eye and fold inward that way. You can look in towards your throat or your heart. You can fold in that way. Just allow yourself to keep going in and darker and darker and darker until it's just you and your breath and the heat or cool of your body and your surroundings. Balance in the flow in this area. And you are going to allow yourself to open up and be seen by yourself in a white room in a dark space. And in this room, in this box, in this container that's so safe, you're going to see a little tent. And this tent or room has a zipper and it opens up. And out of this tent comes a little you. You see their hand at first, and they call to you, they beckon to you, and you say, You're safe, little one. It is. You can have all the space you need. You are free here. You are protected here. You are safe here. And the little one walks out, sees you, kind of wipes their eyes. It's like, it's you. I've been waiting for you this whole time. And they run up to you and they give you a hug, just like that sweet, sweet child, innocent love, that hug. And you connect to you. And in this space is where you can practice getting to know you as a child. Little one, what makes you dance? Little one, what makes you happy? Little one, what makes you want to sing or laugh or play? Whatever makes you happy, ask this little child to stay connected with you and help you remember how you enjoy your freest, most protected, most loved self. Okay. Take a few breaths here in this moment, in this safe space. Take a deep breath, allow your body to sway. Allow your body to open up to itself. Come back to a point of stillness. Little child, thank you for meeting me here. I will always come back to you. And I know you are just a call away, deep, deep from within myself. And the child and you take the moment to look at each other's eyes and know that you will always be there, hand in hand, for each other, just as you need. And you allow yourself to allow the child pick them up and they meld directly into you, deep within you. You are this inner child. So move your hands, move your feet, start to move your body and your egg and your shell. The air should be thick, like milk or water. Allow yourself to start feeling your body again. Start hearing your voice. Start coming to the surface, rising out of that inner you, rising into the now. Go ahead and tap yourself on your sternum. Bring yourself home. Bring yourself in body. Bring yourself back into the temple. Let the temple wiggle around. Let it awaken. Let it remember this renewed part of itself. Your inner child is here. Your inner child is now. And you can use that visualization however you like. Yes, I know the show's still around us, but that's how the energy is. Allow yourself to drink some water right now. Let's just do a stretch real quick so we can integrate this into our bodies. Because just a stretch, just a little stretch, however you want. There's no like particular movement. Because we just went deep into inner outer space. And we brought ourselves back. I feel almost like full, like, you know, like I ate. I feel connected to myself. How you? What you think? What do you think, Jedi mind?
I liked it. It was great. But the problem was as I was going into it and getting to my inner child, I kept seeing like the eyes of an owl, and they would turn orange.
Oh.
And then I saw like human eyes, and it would be right as they were about to close, they would open back up, and it would be just the pupil that would show up, and the rest of the eye was orange. So I was a slight bit distracted.
So somebody was watching you, huh?
I guess an owl or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you can do to this owl is because some of you might be feeling, remember we said the others might be trying to infiltrate in on this and distract and da 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 da, right? Because they're afraid of their own flow and change. So you shield with a mirror. You know how today our show had a little bit of a white one, so you can put inside of that inner box, put a reflective mirror around the outside, like outwardly reflective, so that it actually reflects the darkness. So you can't tell where that box is within you, and it's like masked, but you can see them, but they can't see.
Yeah, I do that with the winds of change. I polish my my egg, my bubble, so it's like it's tinted with mirror, and so it's like one of those. It's almost like the I want to say it's like the bean in Chicago, the big shiny.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Oh,
I do that around me and my girls.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is kind of similar to that too. When I did the exercise, I seen it was like at the end, somebody turned it to the DM because I went to, and then he picked up the little me, and then he picked up me too. And I was like, this is too much for you to carry. And he was like, no, I got both of you all. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then it turned into that, and then some kind of way his hand turned into some kind of like a stringy thing. I know you can't see. I'm always a person that stringy thing. And he kept on doing unraveling. That was the part that was connected to me, and kept on unraveling. It's almost like this, like bandage tape looked like to me, and unraveling as he had let go of me. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I said, oh, is this entanglement? What is this?
Our new favorite word.
Yeah, and then it stopped, but at the end, like I dropped, and then I got back up, and then I was like, okay. So that was interesting. That exercise led us to a whole different Alice in the Wonderland down the rabbit hole.
It really felt like that. It really felt like that. I would love if you could, anyone who had the meditation, comment or tell us what went through for you through that experience, because that was so deep. I was like, I was doing my best to not fall down in a rabbit hole myself.
Yeah,
and I'm still feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so everyone's going through this whole like levels of transformation. It's so going to be like so multifaceted.
Yeah, I think. So that thing is like super, super deep, super duper deep. Okay, I'm on 26%. So you can't say Divine Sunshine ain't a trooper. I'm in the dark and I'm still holding on to this.
Yeah.
Still showing my Chi-Town gangster-ish. It ain't gonna stop my flow. I don't care what the entities or whatever's
lights out. We got candles.
Oh, we got candles. We gonna keep on rocking. But I do know my limitations too. So we gonna start wrapping it up. So what is any kind of last words? I know y'all want cards, but it's no use to me even doing that because I can't even see the damn cards myself in the dark. So what is it? Some last words. And remember again, we have the Sandbox Q&A live on Friday at 6. That's 6 Eastern time, 7 o'clock. 6 Central time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And I still don't know Hawaiian. I have to use the thing to convert her to see about what time that is. But if it's 7 o'clock, that's 2, right?
7.
That's 2.
1.
Right?
It's 1.
Okay, 1 o'clock Hawaiian time. And so, are there any last words about communication? That was oxymoron, wasn't it? Last words about communication.
We have to. I think we just have to learn how to talk to ourselves, and we've talked about this a lot in different times, talking about union with ourselves and all this. But we have to learn to talk to ourselves before we can learn to talk to others, and we have to then be able to reach out to our soul family when we start getting a lot of these downloads, these things that this happened and that happened. We need to share that, because as you explain what happened, that then opens them up to see more of what's happening around them. So
Mhm.
this is a very important time to be sharing with our soul family what's going on, and fears, insecurities, things like that, but then also be open to when they say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. And then, you say to them, you have to be open when they say, well, I think that might have something to do with. So you have to understand that you all are communicating on totally different levels. Also remember that the whole idea with the DM of being able to look at them and say, what's wrong? Do you feel okay?
Mhm.
What are you thinking? All of that this next time around is going out the window, because we're going to know how they're feeling. Because 9 times out of 10, we're going to feel like that.
And we
So,
don't to just be careful what you ask for. Just saying,
yeah,
by divine order, please, because when they have feelings for other people or something like that comes through, that stuff can be really, really
it can be very brutal, and
mess with your heart.
that's something we have to learn early on to do, and, and keep it that way. But what I'm meaning is when
That's
they're
why I look to the
Me
DM, like
too.
for real. What? Check yourself. Check your feelings. You act like I don't know. I'm all up in them.
Right. You true.
Mhm. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't
and then we
prove it.
have to act like we don't know anything when they come back to tell us.
No, I don't pretend like I don't know.
That's what I was about to say. No,
Mm-mm.
I'm
I ain't
sorry.
playing no games. I ain't got time. I'm focused. Anyway, the last
I'm not kidding.
communication that got me all lost. I forgot all about what I was gonna say for communication.
Look
But
at that flame go off.
last words.
Just communicate with yourself and your soul family.
Let me bless you. Come over here.
Real good.
Oh, it was. I am how to talk to yourself. I am so. My aunt sang this to me every time I talk to her. She sings me this song because she sang this to me when I was a baby. Okay. Except differently. Anyway, I am so beautiful to me. Can't you see? I'm everything I hope for. I'm everything I need. 'Cause I am so beautiful to me. Sexual chocolate. Just kidding.
Has left the building, y'all. Dang. They
And beauty
good.
is as beauty does. Straight talk. Beauty is as beauty does. So
Right?
be it.
So be it. Speak it. Be one with it. All of that good stuff. That is true. And sometimes some of us got to make watch the self talk that we talk to ourselves too. That's another issue. And that's a continuation for the sandbox things. All right, then. Let's get us on out of here while I'm on 22%. That's mastery, y'all. That's a sign. All right, if you want to be for like Kathy D and do the Jedi mind trick, we got the pineapplefishlifecoaching.com. Come there and get all that good stuff right there. Even in the dark, she'll still be able to help you. All right, then. And then we have our own made for this. Wanted to win our, oh, Jesus, am I in the dark? And also, hold on, my light.
Lord, help her candles.
Help me, Jesus.
Ah, but safely. Fine.
For safety reasons. Okay, hold on. There we go. Ooh. Happy birthday to me. Okay. That's a lie. Made for this golden life. Make sure that you go see our own Hawaiian queen goddess there that has those beautiful meditations. And maybe she might even serenade you too with another song. Or maybe you might just want the single of You Are So Beautiful to Me sung to you so you can meditate and go to sleep to that at night. Who knows? She might be able to give that to you too. All right, then. And then you also have me, Divineunisouls11.co. Sorry you weren't able to see the tricks that I do, but as well, also you can get the playground experience there too, where you get all of our services together, bundled up as one. Whatever the topic is, you choose it, we'll do it, and surround a program around your idea and your concept. For $92, you get an hour piece of work and some bonus time and some bonuses as well that's in it. That is really at these times, this is what you need, something that can hit on all levels, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Those things you need. And that's what's going to really cause that paradigm shift that you're talking about. One without the other, you'll get some movement, but when you add all three, you really get a powerful punch. just like a fist. All right, then. So go to Divineunisouls11.co as well. And if you like what this channel is throwing down, click like, share, and subscribe to this channel as well. And smash the notification bell as well so you can see what other good things that we're doing on this channel, and especially for the playground experience, so you can see what videos we have uploaded, and then also when we are going live. All right, then I'm down to 21%. This is doing good. Somebody's holding it down. Thanks, Dad, for holding it down, because I know this sucker should have went by real faster than this. So somebody's holding it. All right, thanks, Dad, and I know it's you. All right, then let's go. Hit it. Get us on out of here.
Wishing you your best life ever. See you real soon.
All right, then. April.
Stay blessed. Stay golden.
All right. Thank you to my angel team. Y'all both holding it down along with Dad. As always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascending. Namaste. Namago. Mwah. Love you all. See you this Friday.
Oh, hi.
Hey, see ya.